Hey guys, this is Liz here, and today I'm going to be going over the following topics from this week's reading assignments. First, I will be covering how it is that we form relationships with each other. So, the fundamental need for being with others, the initial attraction or what draws us into relationships, different types of relationships. Also, I will be covering the social psychology of giving and receiving help. Will examine the evolutionary and motivational factors that predict whether a potential helper will provide assistance to a person in need, and some of the situational, personal, and interpersonal influences that account for why, who, and when people are likely to provide help. So need to belong. It is quite clear that we as humans, we are obsessed about relationships, either friendships or romantic relationships. We are fixated with the desire to love and be loved. We care deeply about what others think of us, and therefore we spend a lot of our energy, our time, our money, our resources to make ourselves presentable to the world or attractive. Our need to belong is a fundamental human motive. The text defines the need for affiliation as the desire to establish and maintain many rewarding interpersonal relationships. Um, so developing relationships is a vital component of our health and overall well-being. We need other people in our lives because affiliating to others provides us with energy, attention, stimulation, information, and in general, affiliating with others serves as an emotional support tool. Some of the explanations for social affiliations are due to stress, loneliness, and lack of power. Loneliness is an emotional state. It is a feeling of extreme sadness that is often caused by a deprivation of human social connections. It has three dimensions. There is intimate, uh, intimate loneliness, relational loneliness, and collective loneliness. And virtually anyone can experience loneliness. In fact, most people feel lonely at one point in their lives, either briefly or for a prolonged period of time. According to Mother Teresa, well, it's not according to her, but one quote that I really like that she said was loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. The initial attraction. So, the initial attraction, the first step in the information of social relationships is affiliation. People are more likely to become attracted to someone they have seen and have become familiar with. We are attracted to people that live near us and that we encounter frequently. Um, Surprisingly, the single best predictor of two people will get together is physical proximity or nearness. Um, with physical attractiveness, there are certain characteristics that are inherently more attractive than others. These characteristics vary across cultures. However, it is important for us to keep in mind that beauty standards do change over time from one generation to the other. Some researchers have identified physical features that are associated with ratings of attractiveness. For instance, a person with smooth skin or pleasant expressions indicates youthfulness. There are three characteristics of others that can also influence our initial attraction. Liking others who are similar, reciprocity, which is a mutual exchange between what we receive and what we get back from others, such as liking others. And another one being hard to get. Mate selection. According to the evolution of desire, Men's attraction to women is often conditioned by the color red, because the color is routinely associated with sex. So the key here is to note that women in red are often perceived to be sexually more receptive, whereas women's attraction of men is seen through the potential to possess economic resources and their willingness to commit those resources to support her offspring. Close relationships. So moving on to close relationships. Intimate relationships are defined as a close relationship between two adults involving emotional attachment, fulfillment of psychological needs, or interdependence. The social exchange theory indicates that people are motivated to maximize benefits and minimize the cost of their relationships. There are 3 types of relationships, such as exchange relationship, communal, and attachment. So in exchange relationships is where people expect and they desire strict reciprocity in their interactions. Communal relationships is where people expect and desire mutual responsiveness to each other's needs. And secure and insecure attachment styles is whether people will find it relatively easy to get close to and comfortable with others, or they will not. The considerations should be made as far as cultural attraction and close relationships. Families do, in fact, influence mate selection differently based on cultural adaptations. The book suggests, or it explains that in China, for example, cultural premium is placed in devotion, respect, and obedience of children to parent and other family elders. And on the other hand, Western cultures inhibit the tendency to become intimate and interdependent with others. Regardless, close relationships are bound by passionate love, which is a widespread and universal emotion. Helping others. The social psychology of giving and receiving help. Evolutionary factors why we help others is explained by a kin selection, which suggests we prefer to help genetic relatives because it results in a greater likelihood that our genes will be passed down or will survive. There are many motivational factors that seek to explain why people help. These include altruistic and egoistic motives, such as empathy or rewards, like feeling good. So I help someone because it makes me feel good. That would be an example of a reward. Motivational factors. Let's see. Yep, that's it as far as motivational factors go. So now situational influences. Situational influences, there are many situations where people are likely to choose to help others, but in order for them to help, there are different steps that I suppose we take. So in order to help someone, we need to notice that somebody is in need of assistance. Then we need to interpret, okay, what is happening in the situation, and then is it our responsibility to help the individual? And if so, how can we take responsibility? So in a car accident, somebody needs to take responsibility for calling 911 and making sure that the person or persons involved in the accident are being helped. Interestingly, mood states dictate whether people are likely to help or not. So people that are in a good mood are more likely to help others that are in need than if you're in a bad mood. And personal influences. Personal influences. Altruistic personalities are motivated by the desire to help others' well-being. According to one of the articles, women are expected to behave altruistically and are punished for failing to be altruistic to a much greater extent than men. Culture and helping. Research indicates that people in the United States are more likely to help others in southern and northern central regions, or people in rural areas than people that are from other regions or urban areas. This is true, but only to an extent. So it doesn't mean that if somebody lives in an urban area, it doesn't mean that they're not going to help someone in need. It just means that southern and northern centrals tend to be more helpful in certain situations. Interpersonal influences. Perceived characteristics of the person in need or their attractiveness. Attractive individuals and members of one's groups are more likely to receive help than those who are less attractive or are members of an outgroup. According to the equity theory described in our text, is an interpersonal relationships. So according to this theory, interpersonal relationships are based on trust, mutual respect, and genuine concern for the person. And one of the other articles explains that people react disproportionately to tangible implications of interpersonal events when they perceive that others have violated the rules that underlie social exchange. With that said, the text describes compassionate relationships rest on a foundation of mutual trust, caring, respect, friendship, and commitment. My first question to you guys is, how does your culture influence the people you trust? And then secondly, because people are likely to help others in need if they believe the person in need shouldn't be held responsible for his or her predicament, how is that contrary of what Scripture teaches us about helping others? So yeah, thanks for listening, guys.